below zero hits us in life. Built for the cold, you say? That ain't right. Too cold for the average Joe, just right for those who hear the show. In the image of greatness you were made, but taught by the world to be played. A new generation, we're building. No victims, we're creating. Them haters, keep hating, cause Gen Zero, we blazing. Well, welcome guys to another episode of the Built for the Cold podcast. Too cold for the average Joe, just right for me and the listeners of this show. This is where we cover everything from resilience to how to face things in life, how to not claim a victim mentality, but most importantly, how to not blame the God for the D's that happen to us, regardless of what it is. So I'm very excited to have a very special guest and host. I met Clarice back at Cornerstone Church, I think right before it was Mix.
Yeah.
Know her older brother, know her family, awesome family. We recently reconnected just on different fitness things she's doing, coaching, really excited about the brand she's building. So welcome, Clarice, to the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, I just to do a little bit of an introduction, I do women's online health coaching.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
Work with a lot of high stress, busy women that are just trying to figure out how to push past plateaus and level up their life.
Like when you started creating a lot of your content, I remember, and what caught my eye is because a lot of when I was training people, it's like all more of the entrepreneurs, the people that just like feel they don't have time and how to actually really hone in like elite athletes into like habits. And I've seen the results you're creating from different women that are looking at, I mean, it's not just they kind of just work a 9 to 5. They're doing a lot of different things, which is awesome.
I find that like a lot of
we got an awesome ball flying.
Yeah, I got a little beat.
We're just waving at you guys, by the way.
I find that like that's the people that need the most help.
Yeah.
Just because when you hit a certain point, it's like you can't ever, I always say you can always find $5 on the ground, you'll never find 5 minutes. So a lot of the women that I work with, they just don't have the time to figure out what to do for their health and wellness. So I kind of get to play the role of just coming in and like saving them time and the hassle of figuring everything out. And
what caused you to get into that specific niche of online training and coaching?
So I started in person actually and did that for a couple years, worked with athletes to old clientele to anywhere and everything in between. And I was so passionate about having discussions with women around life. I felt like those clients that I had that were like 35 and just in the fun season of life that I was like, I love spending time with these women. And so I started building Totality, my business on the side while I was working full time for a health coaching company.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was just full time. You went Totality.
No.
I was just like, she went all in.
Yeah, I did in 2022.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
But started in person and started like working for a health coaching company full time. And then when I hit a point where I was like, okay, I'm working 80, 90 hour weeks, killing myself. It's time to just transition and go all in on Totality. So 2022 is when I went all in on that and built that full time online and have been figuring it out.
You say figuring out. And that's why I feel like entrepreneur, like it's like, there's this plan, this plan. Yeah, I just have to figure it out. Just have to do it.
I think that's everyone. You just literally, there's so much guesswork and figuring it out and all the nitty gritties of business. And it's such a fun thing that no one has it figured out. You just kind of roll with the punches and all of that.
What was the initial feeling when you went full time? Like if you could describe it to people, because I know a lot of people have this desire and dream to like go into business full time, meaning like you're leaving everything, kind of comfort, security of a job behind. Like what was that like?
So part of me was very relieved as I was putting so much time into both that it was like, it was time, where I hit a point where I was doing really well with my business, finding clientele in Dubai to France to here, where I was like, it's doing well enough that it'll be fine to transition. But then also like the flip side of true, like the fear of like unknown and not knowing where it's going to go. But I think ultimately just excited. I have a lot of conversations with excited new business owners that, or people that want to start coaching and they want to just like dive all in. And I do think that there's beauty in that, but I was very grateful to have the opportunity to like seamlessly transition when I hit a point where I felt good with everything.
That's amazing. Yeah. Cause that can be the So like you're working 2 full-time jobs, trying to get one thing off the ground and then still fulfill as best you can. And then just I don't know if there's any doubt you had during it or kind of like different feelings that were going around. It's not just like, I just went full-time. Like, you got the business to support it, but then you also have more clients you have to keep talking to, keep selling, keep building.
It is like a cycle, right? Yeah. Like it's a cycle I'm still on, it's just the bigger that you grow with business, the bigger your problems get, but they're all the same problem.
Yes.
But I felt like the transition that I made was so seamless. I do think a lot of people.
It's very fortunate.
I think a lot of people dive into coaching or a business and it's like a need or desperation to get clients or make money because that's all they had. And transitioning from like a full-time job at the point where my business was sustaining like a good enough revenue that I could live on and living out my parents, I think at the time. So it was like I didn't have so much pressure where it was really enjoyable.
It's peaceful almost in a way. It's kind of like I don't want to say it's never peaceful, but like it's just you have a certainty about it.
Yeah, it was really like such a good transition. So I'm so grateful that I had that versus getting thrown into the weeds. It was really good. So I'm really honored and like grateful to just like have done it that way.
Oh, that's so cool. And I'm excited to see everything you're continuing to build. And I know there's apparently a move coming, possibly. And not to throw that on the podcast. Hard launch? Yeah. No, I'll let you share that when that's appropriate. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. A move for me, for sure. Yeah. To Florida. For sure. That's awesome. I love it. But as far as like, I know I kind of gave you some topics as far as what guests come on and share about. And I don't know if you want to touch on, it doesn't have to be any specific like that you've faced in your life, but just there's a lot of viewers on this show that are kind of like, man, like this has happened to me or this has happened to me. And there's no one really teaching systems of how to overcome it. So I'd love to hear like not just what you experienced, but then how you faced it and overcame it.
I love that. I think the word systems is so important because a lot of people, even when you look at discipline or any other quality characteristic that people hold, it does come down to people's systems, So I think if you don't have a system to work through whatever it may be, you kind of are lost. So I love that you said that. But I think for me, it's been a big season of just like detachment from outcomes, from people, from identity shifts, of
that sounds pretty loaded. Like we'll dive into it a little bit. So detached from like, I mean,
in a really good way. I think detachment can almost be a cold word, if that makes sense, like a cold word of like full recluse, but I view it as less of the coldness of detachment, but more so of like creating space for something even better, more beautiful.
Oh, amazing.
And so, there was just like a lot of detachment from different identities. And I think a lot of who I was to get me to where I am now, I will need to let go a lot of parts of that version of me in order to get to the next level or where I want to go. So I think detachment for me has just been really big, even on the specifics of like outcomes in business, or sales calls that don't go my way.
This is so fascinating because sometimes we think detachment like in life is like a bad thing. Like where it's, obviously Built for the Cold podcast, like you're detached, like you're just like numbing yourself, right? But you're talking about detachment, like just being detached from the things we can't control to have more peace about what we're doing.
I think it's a posture of surrender, like if I can view it that way, where we all have these expectations of like, I want to hit this revenue goal, or I want this many clients, or I want to see this happen in my life, or go here, or whatever it may be. And truly living in a posture of surrender of like, I'll put in all of the outputs and take all the actions that I know I need to take every day. And hopefully I'll get to the outcome that I want. Absolutely. But ultimately, if I'm attached to that, like your expectation of that may fall flat. So you kind of have to detach in order to understand you can't control the outcome, no matter how much of the outputs that you put in. You know?
Oh, it's so funny because obviously, I work with Jeremy and like sales coaching and stuff, and we always teach like being detached from the sale. And so it's fascinating you talk about that, but talk about more like even just not just in business, but in like life. You said relationships, like identities, and you can go as deep or as, as you feel appropriate.
I don't think people realize how much like your upbringing and your perspectives impact so much of like building a business.
Oh,
or I didn't
really?
maybe.
Well, fill me in on this.
Maybe, in a really positive and different way, so even how I viewed money, you know, I think that's something that building a business, like you have to be comfortable in understanding finances and investments and how to build a business and scale and all that. And I grew up in a middle-class mindset home, where you save every penny, you don't invest more into yourself, you know. And there's something so special about like growing up with like the morals and values that are instilled in you. But I think there's also pieces of that do need to kind of be left in the dust in order to get to where you want to go. So that was a big growth opportunity for me, was just like my perspective on money. I am someone that truly just like wants to help people. I'm not in it for the dollar amount, but the dollars and the money, like that is still a part of it.
It's motivating. Right? It's motivating because it's an element of like lifestyle. It's an element of like just peace of mind. It's an element. I mean, you can buy your time back when you have more. And so it's fascinating because I just had my parents here up in Door County for the 4th, and it was interesting to kind of just see different perspectives and that they've had, and got to talk to them some things about that. But just as I've grown up, they're from Oregon, right? So I haven't seen them. I mean, they've been out here, but it's like I've been here since 2011, so 14 years. So 14 years without them like constantly there. It's just fascinating to see kind of how your perspective shifts. So, but what was it like with your parents, like conversations going into your business? Like what was that all like?
Yeah, so my parents were very like nuts and bolts people. They also got married so young. So they spent their whole life pouring into us kids, which I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, that's
I think
amazing.
They're such good quality people. I have so many good things they're like my best friends.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
I love them, but their perspective is just different. I didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs. I didn't come from that creative background. So I remember I hit a massive milestone, like revenue wise, last May.
Amazing.
And I was
Congrats.
in the car with them and just talking about it, running through the numbers and sharing that like big milestone and celebrating with them. And I remember saying out loud, I was like, I hope this never happens again because I don't know what to do with this kind of money. And I just remember the discomfort that I had around like making money, because I was just it was ingrained in my head of you just survive on bare minimum versus like ever having any amount of surplus. So
it's different. It's a very eye-opening experience. And then you could be like me, where I made the mistake and spent a lot of it when I first had that. But then it's like, okay, but hold on, like you get it out of your system, especially too, because I didn't grow up with a lot personally. I grew up with a lot of love. There was a lot of good things, like family of 6 kids. Obviously not my kids, my parents' kids. Family of 6 kids, and I was the oldest. So I was like setting the example. But it was also the perspective of like when you have 6 kids and moms stay at home and dad's working, like it's like there's sometimes limitations. And so like I just never wanted that for my family. I think that's what's driven me to like not also lose myself at the same time that as we build, right? Because again, just going back to detachment, it's like how to detach from outcomes and just more enjoy the process, if you want to speak to anything from an identity standpoint.
I think that's so important, of being able to do both, because like you get the reward of like enjoying the process of it all, right? But I think also the benefit of coming from a family like that, I was taught how to manage my money well.
Oh, that's good.
So there are so many positives of that, but on the flip side, like you also, being on a sales call, for like a basic example, if you're uncomfortable talking about money or around money or haven't invested that amount of money in yourself, like there's no way you're going to get people that also want to invest in themselves. You know? So there has
it's from integrity. It's harder to like help someone through that when we haven't helped ourselves through that.
So I think it's both. Like you said, I think I'm so grateful I was raised in a home like that, but that's been a big detachment of growing up, where I was like, okay, I'm going to take all of these values and morals and all of that with me as I age. there's been pieces of that I've had to kind of like leave, which is hard because I grew up as such a tight family unit. So just
well, I can
learning
tell,
what to
I
take
see
with.
it, like how close you all were, even when you guys were all at church together, you, AB, I forget your older sister's name, forgive me, Janelle, the three of you, and just like your parents, like I could just tell it's a beautiful family unit. So there's always great things to pull from that, right? And then you're building off of what your parents built for you, which I'm super proud of you for. That's not easy to do.
Thank you. That's something too where it's like you could get attached to like, I wish I had this, or I wish I had like parents that taught me how to do X, Y, and Z. But I think with how I was raised, I'm just honored to have like a close family unit that a lot of people don't have, and then spend my time on learning the skills and getting my hands on resources that I need to grow as like a business owner.
Oh, so that's incredible. What are you most excited about right now? Just say, I mean, it could be, you could say anything. Like it could be fitness, it could be business, it could be, pick something like that people might not know about.
Okay, so my vision for this year, I don't know if this is what you're going to expect.
No, this is free flowing right now, whatever you feels on your heart.
So I'm really excited. It actually brings like tears to my eyes because my big vision for this year was to scale to a point where I could gift my parents a trip to Italy. So I like worked my tail off all year, and I just wanted to kind of like give back to them in such like a fun way to actually spend time with them and just thank them for all that they did sacrificially growing up. So that's
almost going to make me cry. I'm just like,
I need to pull it together.
Yeah. That's the flies, guys. It's the flies in front.
So they just, I don't know, they live their whole life. Like my dad will always say, he's like, it wasn't a sacrifice. It was something that he just loved doing, was just like raising us kids and pouring into us. And it was always just like second nature to him, and working 20-hour days sometimes. So I gifted them a trip. I'm taking my mom. My dad has some health issues, so he's like, I'm not comfortable with going, so I'll take him on something else. But I'm taking my mom to Italy next month. Paying for the whole thing and just like doing cooking classes.
What a blessing. Oh my goodness.
So I'm actually so excited about that. I think that's so non-business related.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, because I think sometimes we're always like business mode, and I was even telling Amanda about this. You can't shut your brain off sometimes. And so it's good to just find the time to just disconnect and prioritize it, which I'm so excited for you in that trip.
I know, I am. I think it's just, something I've been really learning a lot recently is just like the flow, of not always, like, especially as women, I think a lot of men in business, it's very like, you can push hard all the time. Sure, you could reach some level of like, I'm tired, but with women with like hormones, there has to be like a really good flow of pulling back.
I do want to ask you a couple questions on that, because I feel like I'm unique as far as men, because I have genetic severe sleep apnea, so that's a challenge in itself. And I'm young, right? So it's like I'm wearing the whole CPAP machine and everything. It's just something I have to fight through. That's affected my fatigue, but I know women can go through all sorts of. I mean, I studied it in college, but it doesn't mean I know it. Like, and what do you see as far as like how women really need to pay attention to flow?
I lived without a flow for quite a few months. Ran myself into the ground. Experience.
90 hours a week is not a fun experience.
Right. This was even recently. I was doing maybe, I don't even know, 15, 16-hour days consistently, but just being on like a screen all the time, like working from home, running a business and doing all of that. So like end of March, I hit a point where I was just so fatigued adrenally, where I was like, I would wake up and I would think to myself, like, if I could just lay in bed all day, that would be enough. Like, that's how just drained I was. And so that kind of is what pushed me to really like find a flow, where I wasn't just waking up, grabbing coffee, sitting at my computer for 15 hours and then going to bed, And so finding a really...
It can be very easy when you do it from home.
And I think it needs to be done some days. There's some days where that's the work that is required. Correct. But I think running your own business, that's the beauty of it, is like you get to create it into what you want it to be.
Exactly.
And so waking up, getting outside, getting sunshine and going for a walk is like...
Oh, you're always posting that habit. I'm like, Clarice is already ahead of it.
You have to kind of find ways to fill up your own cup. I've seen how much I'm able to show up as my best self for my clients, for the team that I have, for other people, for relationships, and it's just so important. I think that's with anything. When you see the payoff of putting in that kind of work, it makes it so much more important to you to set aside time for that.
Yeah.
You know, so
What would you recommend? Because there's a lot of ladies that listen to this show too, and that's why I'm so honored to have you on. Like, what can you speak to them? Like, any advice or tips you can give? Obviously, I'll share like where people can find you and everything else.
Totally.
But what's like a couple different pointers that someone who's like either in sales, entrepreneur, working a lot, maybe they're like, I mean, full-time family.
Yeah.
That can be a business in itself. I'm so thankful to my mom. Like, I mean, 6 kids. I mean, shoot, I gave her enough problems, you know. But
5 other ones.
Right. But what would you recommend to them to just get more in a flow? Like, what are some of the first steps they could take?
Yeah, I think as we get older, something I've seen is we forget to have fun and we forget to enjoy the slow moments and like mundane moments of life, you know? So finding what that fun looks like for you outside of all of the responsibilities that you have. For me, that really is waking up and getting outside.
Yeah.
Because it's a time where I'm not on my phone, I'm not posting content, I'm not contacting people aren't reaching out to me, where it's just so peaceful. Like doing this podcast outside like this is like, this is ideal.
You love this. Yeah. It's we're very grateful. The air show's not started. Like figuring out that coordination. Hey, there's going to be jets, the Blue Angels flying behind us.
Where it's just, I think finding what you really enjoy and being very, very intentional to set that time aside as early as possible. What I find with the busiest women that I work with, the ones that are on screens all day, and then they have families, and then they have a health and a career that they're all worrying about, that usually is like, okay, I just feel like guilt about it, so I'll just like push that off until time frees up a little bit. And what I find with that is the guilt gets worse and worse and worse when it comes to stepping away from their career, their family. Whereas like if a younger mom, when their like baby's really young, starts incorporating really healthy habits at that point, it's a lot easier as they age, you know? So I think just really being intentional, like right now, like we can't ever go back. Like if you have kids or if you have like a big career that you're building, we can't go back to like an easier time. Time's only getting busier.
Only getting busier. AI is only making things faster. Everyone feels like they have less time than ever. More distracted than ever.
So I think just being so intentional with starting, like as cliche as that sounds, start with something like so small now. But things that really just like fill up your cup. And then once you start to do that consistently, you begin to just see the reward of truly like filling up your own cup or having fun. And life isn't all about like the grind, you know. I think there's so much to be said about doing life with people and truly soaking up the beauty around you. So if you can find time to set aside for that. And then the practicals is like, if you're on a screen all day, you need to step away, you know, like get up, get active.
Do you recommend, is there like a recommendation of how long on a screen, get up and kind of just walk for 10 minutes or like what do you recommend?
A lot of clients that I have that are high ticket sales coaches or whatever it may be, those people, I'm always like, if you have a 5-minute break between one call, like get up and just walk around your house and then come back, you know, like get outside for 3 seconds and then come back and sit down. It really does such wonders just because of the blue light and everything that we're getting, especially as women. That really does impact at a cellular level what's going on with our stress and everything else. Like I've worked hands-on with clients that sit on a computer all day, that their stress is higher and their hormone issues are worse or their gut issues are worse just from like sitting all day and then also being on a screen all day. So
I can imagine.
As active as you can be, like getting up 10 minutes earlier and going for a walk, like it really does make such a difference.
Well, and one thing you said too on like fun, just to really differentiate for some people, you don't mean fun as in like, hey, watch more TV. And if fun as far as like, hey, I'm just going to be on my phone, like scrolling Instagram, not calling anyone out, right? But like, that's not really like fun. That's more numbing. I think fun, it usually involves, if you're an introvert, it could be something alone, or if you're an extrovert, it could include people, but it really is something that just kind of takes you out of your normal environment and makes you appreciate life a little bit more. You know, like I think about
like classes to go to,
Yep.
or I think about getting outside and going for a walk or trying something new,
Yeah.
you know, swim with sharks.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, there you go. Yeah. That was really cool when you did that. I was like, man, that takes a different level of just courage.
No, but like anything, you know, that you would find even a slight more enjoyment in, other than just like your mundane of sitting down at a computer all day long.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just important. Like that's what life is about. I think there's so much enjoyment in just like building and scaling and learning and refining your skills. Like that's so fun for me. However, the all day, every day, I need a break to get away or take a trip or
and so much sharks. No, totally understand. Yeah.
Anything.
It's just funny because this is it's a saying I've said a few times, just because when people, you know, in sales and they're just like, oh, the economy, oh, the market or whatever, it's like, hey, sharks come out when there's blood in the water.
Yeah.
So when everyone else
honestly, I'm like, to go off that point, I don't pay attention to all of that. Like maybe that's just dumb of me, but I'm like, as much as you can, just control your outputs. And at the end of the day, like that posture of surrender, it's like what's going to happen is going to happen.
Yeah.
But
love that.
You can't control all of that, you know? So I'm not going to sit here and be a ball of anxiety around like the government or like things that I can't control when I know that I can control my actions today.
Absolutely.
You know, so I'm going to take the actions.
Literally that piece, I felt it radiate from you as you said that. Like I feel it in how you communicate. You're just a lot of people that have, and you could maybe attest it to God and your faith, you could attest it to just like how you've just chosen to respond to different things in life. But I feel like that's the result of like taking control of what you can control and then surrendering everything else. Yeah. Because then everything else is kind of just like water off a duck's back, I feel like. And there's not really any situation you can't handle when you have that mindset.
I agree. I think 100%. If you just like kind of look at big picture of whatever it may be, it comes back to just kind of like that posture of surrender and not trying to manipulate or control all of like the final outcome of all of that. You
that's
know?
so amazing.
I think that's where anxiety and worry really kicks in, is when you're trying to control all of that, you know? And I think that's why I always go back to that detachment, because as business owners, as a high achieving woman that I like want to do a lot of things and have really big expectations on myself, if I only plug into what the outcome is that I want to achieve, I miss out on a lot of the beauty that comes with figuring it out in the like middle ground, you know, of like the grit and like the skill refinement and the ugly and the raw. And I think that's where people do, like, once you find enjoyment in that, the outcomes that you were hoping to achieve are so much more enjoyable, but they're also not like the only thing, you know. It makes you enjoy life and the process of it all so much more, rather than getting stuck on just like the end and then it's like, okay, well, that happened, you know.
Well, and then like what's the point? Because like I don't know if you saw, do you see Scotty Scheffler's interview?
I did.
I'll share it with you because it's so phenomenal. He talked about this, but obviously like world class golfer, number one in the world, and he just had this whole interview, and again, like I said, I'll share it with you, but he just talked about, you hit this goal and then you're all like, you enjoy it for like 5 seconds and you're like, what was all that for if you don't enjoy the whole process? And another mentor also like had told me once, like, hey, just count it all joy, the good, the bad, the hard days, the great days, because like the great days wouldn't be as good if there weren't bad days.
And for every like high that you see with entrepreneurs, I went to a retreat back in June where this guy spoke, pretty successful.
That was the one in Hawaii, right?
No.
Oh, different one.
That was a solo trip.
Oh, okay. That's amazing. All right. You're all over the place.
This was Austin, my sales coach. He did a retreat with his clients. And one of his clients spoke, who runs a pretty successful like ads and marketing business. And he wanted to just kind of share like the realness of entrepreneurship. And he's like, for every high, for all those highlight reels that you see, like there's just as much of a low. And I think a lot of people forget that there's the levels of that, you know. It's not just like a glamorous, it is like you do get really low in certain seasons, or like it really messes with your mental health or whatever it may be. So just appreciating the lows, because it makes those highs so much more enjoyable. And actually a high. You know, like if we didn't have the lows, then we wouldn't actually have the levels.
I wouldn't experience the best of it. Oh,
yeah.
I feel like we could continue this conversation forever. It's so great. And we will over brunch. But but this has been amazing, Clarice. So share real quick with the audience and we'll pretty much wrap up for today. But where can people find you? Where can people, I'll share this obviously, but people are kind of serious like, hey, I really want someone who can really help me dial in, especially women on their health and everything. Where can they find you?
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, if this resonates with you, if you're a busy, high stress woman wanting to feel confident in your skin again, I help women kind of push past a lot of the plateaus that they face with their health and wellness. So I help you address your gut, your hormones, all the things that cause a lot of disruption and plateaus with your health. But I make it really achievable and realistic. So if you want to, just shoot me a DM on Instagram, the Clarice Barnett, or if you want more information just around like coaching or seeing my clients and things that way, you can also go to my website, totalitylifestyle.com.
Awesome, guys. Well, until next time, we'll see you on the next show. Another guest coming up here shortly. But until then, we're built for the cold. Where winners learn to be great. Built for the cold, you say? That damn straight. The lessons, the love, the insights from above. Hope you take them and grow, even with another cup of Joe. Thank you for dropping in and listening to the show.